Good evening. I'm Jessica Kartalija. Another day of dangerous smoke-filled skies. For the past 2 hours, we have been giving you the information that you need to keep your family safe. Officials here on the island of Maui are urging anyone who's still missing loved ones to please go out and get a DNA test. MVP, we're talking about Coaches Awards. Lots of big celebrities are going to be here today.
That's right.
Philly's own Meek Mill, Cheryl Lee Ralph, Tiffany Haddish, Terry Bradshaw coming down, our own Nate Burleson, CBS Mornings. It's going to be a fun night. I remember last year when they were talking about how it measured on the Richter scale when fans were stomping their feet.
Yeah.
Let's do that again, guys.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, so now we have a magical Philadelphia sports story, and there are many.
This is beautiful. After a brief instant connection at an Eagles game, the power of the public and social media helped bring two fans together. CBS Philadelphia's Jasmine Payut has the story.
But first, Donald Trump is on his way back to his New Jersey golf club after posting bond at the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta. Good evening. I'm Jessica Kartalija. Earlier you said it's in the 40s but feels like 30s.
Yes.
That's kind of like me. Right?
Yes, you're right.
So I like this forecast.
Yeah,
Excuse me for laughing. I had something in my throat. I'm sorry.
Storm surge, wind, rain battered the shore. I wanted to see what the coast looks like now and take you to 2012 when Sandy struck. Bulkheads had to be raised up to prevent backflooding. Around 200 homes in town had to be raised. Police are expected to release some of the names of the victims who have been positively identified by family members. This, of course, as the recovery efforts here on the island continue. It is so spiritual. So they're not just going in and doing everything they can to pull everything up right away and sift through all of the ashes. There's so much spirit there that that's now considered hallowed ground. So that's part of the reason why it's taking so long, right? And they say we want to respect the aloha of the people. That's what they call it. The second thing is just the look on everyone's faces. There is a heaviness, right? So you have that spirituality, but wherever you are on the island, somebody is either missing a family member or they have some sort of connection there, maybe a childhood home burned down. Everyone is impacted in some way by this fire. That was really the epicenter. That's where kids were back to school shopping and people go on vacation, but so many people live there as well. We're staying on top of breaking news out of Jackson Township, Ocean County, where, as you see, this wildfire is growing. The fire has burned at least 15 acres. It is not at all contained. 30 nearby buildings are being threatened by these flames. You are looking live now from Chopper 3, and we are going to stay on top of this for you. We are told that officials will give an update on the firefight right around 7 o'clock. Police are telling Westchester residents to keep an eye on your children and make sure that everything is locked. This as the search intensifies for escaped Chester County prisoner Danilo Cavalcante. Police believe that he is still hiding in the area. Joe, thank you. Westchester University responded to this crisis by canceling all Chester County classes this afternoon. All buildings on campus will require a school ID or a physical key for access, and non-essential personnel were permitted to work from home today. A 13-year-old has died in a house fire in Wilmington. Chopper 3 over the home along Robinson Drive. We're told the fire started around 1:30 this afternoon. There was heavy damage to the roof of the home. We're working to learn more about the 13-year-old and if anyone else was home when that fire started. A proposed plan to use part of Atlantic City International Airport to shelter thousands of asylum seekers from New York City is hitting a lot of turbulence. Here's New Jersey reporter Brian Hughes. Kensington has been plagued by an opioid crisis for years. Now another drug on our streets is making a devastating situation catastrophic. According to a medical toxicologist at Temple, a veterinary sedative called Xylazine can be found in 90% of Philadelphia's dope supply. The video you're about to see is hard to watch.
Their children are walking amongst this.
When it comes to Pennsylvania's opioid epidemic, Kensington is ground zero.
The streets are lined with garbage. You can smell infection, and there are hundreds of unhoused individuals without access to public restrooms or showers or housing. And It's sad.
Now, a powerful sedative is seeping into more than 90% of Philadelphia's dope supply. Xylazine is a legally sold horse tranquilizer. It's cheap, easy to get, and it's being mixed with fentanyl and heroin. On the street, it's known as trank, and people with substance abuse disorders often don't realize that they've used it until their skin literally begins to decompose.
You can just walk out into Kensington Avenue and you can smell the rotting flesh. It's awful.
Sarah Laurel is recovering from substance abuse disorder. Her organization, Savage Sisters, helps those suffering with addiction. She's been sounding the alarm on Xylazine for 3 years.
The only thing I can say is because we're boots on the ground here in Kensington, we're dealing with it every day. We see the impact that it's having, and we need to see a little bit more progression with the response.
Dr. Joseph DeRazio is Director of Medical Toxicology and Addiction Medicine at Temple Health. He says they've become the epicenter of the Xylazine crisis due to their close proximity to Kensington.
You know, at any one point in time, we probably have 50 patients in the hospital that have complications, serious complications from injection drug use. And so you get to think that all 50 of those patients have been exposed to Xylazine.
Why is Xylazine leading to this necrosis or the death of body tissue?
Are some things that are unknown at this point in time. You know, we see sometimes that people are getting wounds at areas that they're not injecting, so maybe it's not such a local effect. It could be a systemic effect. Vascular effects with this drug. I probably have 15 patients in the hospital who have severe wounds that we're trying to treat.
Xylazine can knock a person out for 3 to 5 days, and because it's not an opioid, drugs like Narcan don't effectively reverse an overdose.
The Narcan works on the part that's fentanyl there, and then we use the oxygen tanks for the respiratory depression that is caused by the Xylazine.
At the Savage Sisters headquarters in Kensington, they regularly see the ravaging effect of these drugs.
Does anything surprise you when people walk through these doors?
No. No, we have a gentleman that comes in here and has been coming in every day who has a gaping flesh wound across his chest right next to his heart.
Honey, what's your name?
Once a week, she and a team of volunteer nurses hit the streets.
They'll wrap the wounds, they'll clean them out, give them their own take-home kits so that they can rewrap, and so we do what we can, but it is a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Since Xylazine isn't intended for humans, it falls into a gray area. And at this point, it's not a controlled substance. But we've learned the DEA is well aware of Xylazine. They recently released a nationwide report about the dangers when it's combined with illicit drugs.
This is kind of like how it's healed. It just heals like a burn. But yeah, this was like all open.
Recovering herself, Melanie Bettis works at Savage Sisters.
Did you know you were using Xylazine?
No, absolutely not. I came here because this was the easiest, most convenient open-air drug market, and it was 15 minutes away from where I was raised.
Her story isn't unique.
So here's the thing. The people that we serve in Kensington are not from Kensington. These children that are on the streets that are unhoused are from Delco, Monco, Bucks, Chester. They're from all over the state. They come to Kensington and they get stuck here.
What do parents need to look for?
The wounds start as smallpox. They look almost like picking scabs on people's arms. I would say the urgent cares in the emergency rooms out on the main line need to start looking for those wounds and testing for Xylazine.
What is it going to take for hospitals to start testing for Xylazine?
Got to be awareness, understanding that it's in our community and affecting people. Currently, the way it stands is we need to send it out to a forensic lab that takes days for us to get a response. And so it's not so helpful at the bedside when we're trying to help patients.
Why are you helping these people?
They're my friends, so. I used to be homeless in Kensington. I do know what it feels like to need a shower, to just need somebody to know my name. I know what that feels like to be invisible.
We researched a well-known lab in Nashville that does test for xylazine, but it can take up to 3 days for results. And as of this broadcast, there are no test strips in use that detect xylazine in a patient immediately. If you or someone you know needs help, we have put the information for Savage Sisters on our website.
Good morning to you, Chanel. Officials here on the island of Maui are urging anyone who's still missing loved ones to please go out and get a DNA test. And the police chief says while they are going as quickly as possible, they are recovering these victims with respect and what they call aloha. Search and rescue teams are going door to door in hard-hit Lahaina with dozens confirmed dead and hundreds missing after last week's tragic wildfires.
Our people are suffering, and we continue to work to find them.
I heard terrifying screams.
Lahaina resident Craig Bradley captured this video of the fire before escaping his home.
I saw it going up, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. And that's when I ran back to my house and threw a few more things in my car.
With flames moving closer, Bradley says he rescued 2 people who were also trying to get away on a motorcycle.
They're like, motorcycle won't start. And so there's a chance that if I hadn't been there at that moment and waited to that last second, I wouldn't have been able to save my 2 friends.
Here in Kihei, donations are being collected to help the thousands who have been displaced and are now relying on shelters to get by.
This is all we got right now, and donations.
This man and his family now live in an encampment after losing their apartment, but they hope to return home.
I'm gonna try my best to find a way to stay in the town where I'm from, the place that I love.
Officials estimate the recovery will cost more than $5 billion, but that doesn't account for the emotional toll of what's being called the largest natural disaster in the state's history. And of the victims recovered, only 2 have been positively identified, and only 3% of the area has been searched. Chanel?
Jessica, Kartalija live for us in Maui this morning. Thanks so much.